Hi. Let's talk about why the strong one pays for everyone else. And let me start here. Strength is treated as a virtue. But in real life, strength is a position. The strong one is not the healthiest person in the system. They are the most useful. They are the ones who can absorb pressure without falling apart. The one who regulates emotion, who tolerates uncertainty, who takes responsibility when others don't. Once the system notices that capacity, it reorganises around it. Not out of malice, out of efficiency. What works will be useful. And what works best will be relied upon. And what is relied upon will eventually be exhausted. No one asks you to become the strong one. You are selected. Because you cope. Because you don't escalate. Because you can handle it. What begins as appreciation slowly becomes expectation. And what becomes expectation hardens into obligation. The contract is never spoken, but it is strict. You will cope. You will stabilise. You will not become a problem. By the time you realise that contract exists, the system has already forgotten how to function without you. Here's the part people resist. Strength is not neutral. When one person reliably carries more, others carry less. Not subconsciously, structurally. You regulate. Others don't have to learn how. You decide. Others defer. You endure. Others discharge. This feels benign at first. Everyone seems calmer. The system works. What disappears is development. Other people do not grow the capacities you are using on their behalf. Tolerance for frustration weakens. Emotional range narrows. Decision-making atrophies. Your strength does not lift the system. It differentiates it. This is why strong people so often feel indispensable and exhausted at the same time. They are needed, and they are alone. The most dangerous illusion attached to strength is the illusion of choice. Strong people are often told, and often tell themselves, that they could stop it if they wanted to, that they are choosing this role, that responsibility is preference, that framing is false. When the strong one withdraws, the systems destabilise. Partners feel abandoned, families feel betrayed, workplaces feel threatened. The reaction is rarely curiosity. It is pressure. You've changed. This isn't fair. We're all under stress. Why are you making this harder? What's being defended here isn't fairness, it's dependence. If your strength were freely given, stopping would be met with care. The intensity of the backlash tells you how necessary your role has become. This is why strong people don't leave early. They leave late. Burnout doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives quietly. As emotional flattening, as loss of desire, as life shrinking into maintenance. Strong people can misread these signals because endurance is normal to them. Fatigue is familiar. Resentment is swallowed. Collapse is delayed because collapse isn't allowed. And when burnout finally becomes visible, it's framed as personal failure. You took on too much. You should have said no. You couldn't cope. That story protects the system. The truth is harsher. Burnout is delayed accounting. And the longer strength has been mistaken for character, the more violent that accounting tends to be when it arrives. Strength is hard to give up for another reason. It doesn't just organise relationships. It organises identity. For many people, strength answers existential questions. Why am I needed? Why do I belong? Why do I matter? Because strong guarantees usefulness. It provides moral high ground. It protects against vulnerability, dependency, and uncertainty. Letting go doesn't feel like relief. It feels like danger. Who are you if you're not the one who holds everything together? What happens if you're no longer necessary? This is why people stall here. They would rather be exhausted than unnecessary. They would rather carry resentment than face uncertainty. They would rather remain indispensable than risk discovering their value was conditional. This is where negative philosophy becomes unavoidable. Change does not come from becoming a better, stronger person. That preserves the role. Change comes from removing the reliance that made strength necessary, not addition, subtraction. When you stop absorbing what doesn't belong to you, the system reacts. Confusion, anxiety, accusation. That reaction isn't cruelty, it's revelation. It shows you exactly where growth has been avoided and by who. Here's the part that nobody tells the strong one. If you stop paying, the cost doesn't disappear. It becomes visible. Someone else has to tolerate discomfort. Someone else has to regulate themselves. Someone else has to grow. And many people will resist that shift fiercely. Not because they're bad people, because your strength financed their comfort. The guilt you feel when you stop isn't proof that you're wrong. It's proof that the structure is being challenged. There is no clean exit from strength, only reorganization or relapse. Either the system adapts painfully and slowly, or you're pulled back into position through guilt, fear, or obligation. This is where realism ends. Not with advice, not with redemption, just accounting. Strength is not something you are. It's something a system learned to take from you. If you stop being strong, someone else will have to grow. And that might be good for them. And the resistance you meet will tell you exactly how much of their life was built on your endurance. That's the cost. Thank you.